Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Outpost. A lot of interesting things went down this episode, so let's break it down. It is kind of interesting that this episode is a big turnaround on the relationship between Gwen and Tobin, because obviously, for one, she's seeing him just like, oh, he's out there working and helping out, but he's also shirtless, so it's like, hey, at the very least, it's like he looks good, so it's kind of like, at least that's one good side of him, because it's like, oh, he's not an ugly person, but at the very, well, he's a handsome person, but sadly he's an ugly person on the inside. It's a problem. I even love Eleanor kind of busting her chops about the whole situation of like, oh yeah, but you two would make such cute babies and whatnot, because because obviously even with Tobin's army it's not enough, so you even have Gwen suggesting maybe she should draw in other suitors to potentially kind of fill out the ranks even more potentially. So, but I love that. It's just you can definitely tell that her mindset on him is changing, and obviously it turns to that whole thing of like, well, we know it's kind of sad because we all know that's just Gertie behind him kind of shifting him. I mean, I guess you could also make, because the thing is, it's like how much of that is the real him and how much is just Gertie telling him to act like this, to say this, to do, so who he is right now, who the person that she might be kind of falling for, is all a fabrication. He did have this interesting heart to heart with Gwen about the whole, obviously, like, he tries to make it seem like, oh, as long as they put someone righteous in the throne, then on, overlooking everything, this kingdom, this world, then he's like, I'm fine with it. That would be my legacy. Obviously, we know that's complete and utter BS. He wants his legacy to be a child of his at some point on the throne, because he'll be remembered as the one who brought his bloodline onto the throne. That whole thing, like, he made that clear before. But what's interesting is he had this whole story about, like, the reason why, like, when the Prime Order took over, it's not because it seems like, oh, him and his people were fine because he got to keep his title, keep his land and all that. But it's like, no, they took something else from him. His dad bowed down to them, but the Prime Order still killed Tobin's sister. And so for him, it's like he never wants to be a coward like his dad. The fact is, his dad was too afraid to fight because he was too afraid of losing everything he had, his wealth, his fortune, his legacy, which is so interesting. But maybe that's why Tobin wants to instill his legacy, because he feels like, other than that, my legacy as it stands is the guy who kept some stuff, who lost some things, sure, but whose legacy is his father kneeled instead of fighting. But if he can be on board with Gwen when she does win, because I think he does believe that she can win, and he want his legacy to be more than his father's cowardice. I think that's what it is. So I think there is truth to what he says, but I think his motivations behind it is kind of BS, Like I said, being okay with Gwen being on the throne. It's like, no, it's about me restoring, I guess, my family's name by putting a child on the throne, but like having a child by Queen Rosamund, the only one who was willing to stand up against the Prime Order. Like, it kind of paints a very nice picture, and it even puts him in a very nice light of like, oh, you were the first one, you were the only one that was by her side here fighting all along. It was interesting because he learns from Janzo the whole, I always end up like switching up how I end up saying Janzo's name. I butcher it like every time. I do apologize. But Tobin learns from Janzo about the whole Garrett thing, and I love him motioning his hand. He's like, wait, were they like? And it's like, yes. And it's like, what was this Garrett guy like? And it's like, well, he was very brave and he had a sense of duty. It's like, good luck finding one. Jonzo says as he looks him up and down and walks. I love that. What I also love is the whole him and Naya's situation. They're all cute and adorable. Talon walks in. He gonna push his Naya aside. He's like, oh, Talon, I'll be with you. And he's like, what? You don't want her to know that we're together? He's like, what? And then she grabs onto him and they start making out heavily. And Talon's smiling, and it's kind of just an awkward thing. And she has to clear her throat. And Jonzo's like, yeah, we're together. And it's like, yeah, good for you. And he's like, are you mad at all? And she's like, why would I be? Are you jealous? And she's like, not even the slightest. And he's like, well, good. It's like, but I just thought that was kind of, they do make a cute couple. Obviously that's getting very complicated because of this whole situation, because he wants to help out. It's like, all right, there's a traitor amongst you, right? I'm gonna help capture him. He's only saying that mainly because it's like, oh, I want to make sure that I kind of get in Gwen's good graces, and as I'm able to take down the traitor who set Dredd free, which Dredd in turn ended up killing Garrett. So it's like, you definitely would get some heavy bonus points, well, brownie points for her. But obviously, like, Naya kind of here, it's like, oh yeah, we'll find a traitor, hang them, and it's like she like, it's kind of like nervous, so she ends up spilling some drink while she's doing that. Then she gets a letter from the Prime Order, from the Capitol, saying, like, your mother and sister are safe. They'll stay in our care until you bring us more valuable information, or our agreement will be up. Which is interesting, because we know that agreement was made, well, it was made specifically with Dredd, but I guess it was the Prime Order in general, so maybe even partially the deal remains with the three, because we know Dredd's out of the picture, so what's up with that? Maybe it was just kind of the Prime Order in general, not just Dredd. Maybe Dredd was just aware of the deal. Maybe Dredd informed him about, Naya as like being the inside person, so they're communicating with them, not Dredd. I mean, the thing is, Naya sadly doesn't know, like, and I think that might be the sad twist to this. Her mom and sister might already be dead for all she knows. Like, the Prime Order could just be stringing you along. Dredd could have been stringing you along. Hell, maybe Dredd was being true to his honor, but maybe the moment he got back, just as a, I don't know. They just don't seem like they're the type to give you what you want no matter what. They always, because giving you what you want now, like, I don't know, like, the fact is they keep perpetuating it like this despite everything makes me think, like, I don't know. It could be proven wrong that her mom and sister might still be alive, but we'll see. But obviously what's crazy is we have Tobin being very suspicious of her, the way she reacted at dinner, plus the fact that she's getting letters from the Capitol and sending them to the Capitol, and he confronts her, and obviously she's nervous about it. It's like, oh, which kind of sad, because like obviously there's the whole thing with Genzo being like so sweet. It's like, oh, let's go for a walk, and she's like, I can't kind of basically be your everything, like I can't be like, oh, I have other duties, I can't send her all my attention around you. And he's like, but I bought you flowers. You're like, oh, Genzo, especially because he had that moment with Munt where he's kind of like, it's like, have you ever had a girlfriend? And Munt's like, no, because mom said that they'd take advantage of my sweet nature. And he's like, oh, she never said that about me. Oh, that's because she never thought you'd get a girlfriend. Wait, what? She said, oh, it'd be a cold day in hell if Jonzo ever got a girlfriend. And just kind of like, okay, Munt, you can stop now, Munt. I love that whole situation. Even talking about he's going to give Munt advice about, when it comes to love life type of situation. It's like, this is a new relationship for you, and at like, oh, you two have been married for 50 years, and I'll show you how it's done type of, relationship, when it's like you two haven't even been together that long. I just thought that was kind of adorable. I love it, I just also love that Eleanor just shits on Jonzo like that so much. But nevertheless, sadly, it isn't all fun and games in this episode, because there are cattle being killed, and it's like, oh, it could only be a Lakiri. So now it's like, oh, Gwen knows that Talon lied about sending Zed and Vicar back. So what she does is she arrests Zed, and it ends up in this very interesting confrontation between Gwen and Talon, because Gwen's like, you lied to me, and it's like, I had my reasons. It's like, you wanted a demon army, but it's like, yes, but now I've seen what they're capable of. I don't want. It's once again, it's so interesting, because it's like, oh, you had in your visions. I mean, what do you think? They're literal demons. What were you expecting? Like puppies? That's the thing. But now it's like her life was being threatened by one. But it showed. But that's like any person. Like, people's loyalties go to their masters or whatever, the people that they serve, just like your people's loyalty goes to you, just like the Prime Order's people loyalty goes to the Prime Order, so it's the same thing, but because they're monstrous creatures and they're stronger than, a certain amount of men, it kind of makes it seem like, because the strength of a demon could probably, be 5, 6, maybe even 10 men, whatever the case may be, whatever like comparison would be. So yes, it'd be scary for just one of them to be like that and to kind of see it firsthand like that. Yes, it's going, but no one else kind of has that same reaction. Like, you still had Garrett being all about, hey, we could still use our demon army, even though he witnessed Bathnero on multiple occasions, but It's interesting. And obviously Gwen says the line of like, well, black blood should learn where they belong, and it's like, should go where they belong, and it's like, oh, where is that? I love, because Talon asks her, like, well, where is that? Because literally they have I'm literally the only black blood here. The others have been sealed in the land of shadow and ash forever. So what about me? Oh, should I go back where I belong? Oh, where is that? All right, my entire village was massacred. It's like, and Gwen's kind of like, I didn't mean that. It's like, her fear is getting the best of her, because she's letting it. I think in her mind it's like, well, Talon's not a black blood. Talon's, oh, she's my friend, and it's almost being like, no, she's not a black blood. She's just well, she is one, but it's like she's been living, like she's making excuses, you know? And so, once again, it's that human fear. Because for her, she doesn't fear Talon, but now I think because of everything, because of seeing what Lakiri really are, because like I brought up, I didn't bring, like, I brought this up maybe like last episode, the episode before last, I was like, right, she's never seen the Lakiri. I didn't even think about that, about like all of season 1, she never saw Lakiri for herself. So it's a different thing seeing things up front, but I think it also makes her see Talon in a different light of like, this is what Black Bloods are capable of. This is what Talon's capable of. And I think maybe because of the friendship, obviously it's going to temper some of that fear, but I think there's still going to be that underlying fear of like, Talon could summon an entire army of that and just, you know, so I don't know. It's a sad situation. It's like, okay, Vickers got to go back along with Zed, which Talon is like, the fact of the matter is he's my only tie to my people, who I am, understanding who I am, my role in this prophecy and everything, the prophecy itself. And so they come to an agreement. Zed can stay, but Vicker has to go. It was kind of interesting. I even love the music cue when they actually shake hands, because it's like, it's a complicated thing of like, yeah, they're kind of upset at each other right now, but at the end of the day, you know, you still have Talon being like, no, I'm gonna listen to Gwen. Like, that's, no matter how complicated the relationship is right now, that's still her friend, one of her few friends in this world. So I think she cherishes that relationship. And she also understands what Gwen is doing. She's looking out for her people. She's trying to do right by everyone and everything. So I think that's why she's going to cut her a little slack. You know, and even Zed's kind of like, you know, oh, you're sending Vicker back, you might as well send me back. Isn't that what you want? It's like, yes, I would. But if you go back, who's going to teach me everything we need to know to get our people out? So sadly, Zed has to send Vicker back. And it's like, you know, I think he even made reference to like, oh, me and Vicker have been together longer than you've even been alive, you know? Their partnership goes back a very long time. So it was a hard thing sending him back, especially knowing where you're sending him to, because even comments on like how good it is to breathe in the air here, because obviously in the land of shadow and ash you have to kind of cover your mouth or you end up swallowing ash. I mean, obviously maybe the same thing doesn't apply for the Lakiri, but still, you get what I'm saying. So because it turns out there's actually a missing piece to that key, because, you know, Zed looking at around Talon's place ended up stumbling across it, but it turns out there's another piece to it, and that piece is the stone, which Talon remembers where the stone is. She remembers it around Reb's brother's neck all those years ago when she killed him, so she's got to go retrieve that. That's kind of interesting, because that was at least like 13 or so years ago, so it's kind of interesting that you were, but I guess it's such a distinct thing, of course, you're remembering, especially because it's such a traumatic moment in your life, because he killed this like new pseudo family you had in an instant, and you killed him out of revenge. So I don't know, I mean, I guess it's one of those things where it's like, when you do something like that, of course it's going to stay with you. So I guess that's kind of where that kind of goes. But another interesting thing about this is showing you Eleanor with power and whatnot. I love her walking past that blacksmith and everything, and the sword, and it just grabs it and slams it down, and it breaks. And she talks about he's like, oh, sorry, mistress. And she's like, what? No, I'm like the counselor to the queen, and I'm also like the royal treasurer and stuff like that. And he's trying to call her, and she's like, he's stammering on what to call her. And she's like, what are you calling me? And it's just like, I love that. But also how far she's willing to go with her position, because I think sadly, you know, Gwen doesn't realize that she literally made a deal with the devil, because Eleanor never does anything for anyone else. I mean, obviously, Gwen's under the impression, like, yeah, obviously she's getting something out of this, but she doesn't really know that Eleanor is specifically getting something out of this, that she's taking advantage of the situation. Gwen understands that to a certain extent, but I don't think she realizes the price she's going to pay for it, because Eleanor is going to do things dirty, but maybe, you know, Gwen, you know, because even Eleanor says you're going to need someone like me by your side, so Gwen knows. She probably just doesn't want to know the details, but obviously in Eleanor's case, it's like some of the workers stopped, the dude came, and so it's like, oh, here's a little calypsum, oh, you want this amount of money to work, okay, I got you, takes him in there, pushes him towards a plagueling so he can get infected. I'm like, that's messed up. And I'm sure that's something she's not going to let anyone know she's up to. But the fact is, it's like, if you stand in her way, she is not afraid to cut you down. I mean, season 1 was plenty of proof of that, just like the whole worm situation, how she maneuvered and manipulated that situation to be what it was. I mean, that's just part of her character was interesting. And obviously, like everything with Gertie, which Gertie seems like she can, once again, just be as mean and vicious. But they do both come to the understanding of, like, yes, us together still isn't going to be enough to fight the Prime Order. Especially because you have a ally of Eleanor's telling her, oh yeah, the Prime Order is getting ready to attack, so... But they have to decide on, well, who they're going to use for an ally. Well, Tobin has a cousin who has just as much an army as he does, so that'd be good to have. But Tobin and his cousin don't see eye to eye. In fact, they're actually in a feud. The last time they saw each other or whatever, like, Tobin apparently had cut him open. Because Tobin ends up talking to Gwen about it, but apparently, like, it's a long family feud. It started with both their grandfathers, like, it was a land dispute, and then, like, basically their fathers made up, but they just never spoke. So it's like, okay, so what happens to the point that you're still pissed at him? Is he a terrible person? It's like, yeah, he's a snake, but has he done anything terrible? And it's like, no. And she's basically convincing him to kind of put aside his issues, because the fact of the matter is, don't look at it as a loss. Surrender your land just so you can make it so that these dealings can kind of go through. But it's like, don't look at it as a loss. Look at it as a situation of you kind of coming out on top, showing, I guess, essentially almost being like, show that you are the more gracious, person, that you're kind of putting all your issues aside for a greater goal. It's kind of the thing. So that's an interesting situation. I can't wait to meet this cousin. Well, we'll see, because Naya now has the information of like, oh yeah, he wants to meet up with his cousin. That'd be a potential ally. So it's like, oh, here's some valuable information I can give to the Prime Order. But it's like, yeah, but Tobin's kind of on my case. He's suspicious of me. Like, I don't know if she's like 100, like I think she knows that he's suspicious, but obviously he doesn't have any evidence. But the next time she sends out a letter, Tobin's going to know, because he told the dude, like, hey, next time a letter goes to the Capitol, let me know. So there's that whole situation. Then there was something I thought was kind of fascinating, because obviously, Zed and Talon leave to go after the stone. And there's a whole conversation of like, oh, let me summon Vicar. It's like, no, I made a promise to Gwen. It's like, what? No, come on, you broke your word before. It's like, yeah, but that was different. This time I gave my word, and the fact of the matter is, that's very important to her, especially when it comes to Gwen, because I think it's because that is her only friend. So once again, it's that whole complicated thing of like, your friends are royal, so you have to serve her as both a queen and friend, so that complicates things. But it's like, when I give my word, I mean it. So if I said we're not going to summon demons, we're not going to summon demons. It's like, because for her, it's like she knows, because it's like, oh, they want to treat, Lucuria like they're monsters. It's like, well, they are. Maybe they are, because she brings up the whole Baphomet thing. He literally killed people just to get back at me. It's like, well, Baphomet was hunting alone. He wasn't under control. You didn't have control of him at that point. But, Vicar is a different situation. It's basically him saying that when it's all said and done, humans are always going to be afraid. Especially those in power are always going to be afraid of those that are different. Yes, your queen. Yes, she cares about people, but just humans. She's not going to care about us, black bloods. But, you have Talon being like, there's enough land, there's enough space in this land for us all to kind of occupy and live. But, Zed says in the line of like, when the time comes, you're going to have to choose a side. I hope we're on the same side. And I'm curious to see what happens. I think Talon will be, with the Black Bloods. I don't think she's probably going to want to live in harmony with everyone, but I think she's probably going to leave it all behind, because it's just going to be like too much with the humans. It's just, there's too much there. So, I mean, depends on how everything kind of plays out in this season on the human side of things with Garrett's return, and I'll get to that soon enough, but maybe that's just going to shift her to be like, no, screw humans. Who knows how things play out, especially the way Gwen's been acting recently toward the Black Bloods and Lakiris. That's enough that seems like it's shaking. Like, it feels like her faith in Gwen is shaken. Well, once again, it's like they don't have the same relationship that they did last season. They do to a certain extent, but their dynamic has changed. Things have changed, because of course it has to change, because she's a queen, so I don't think things should stay the same way forever. So that's why I'm kind of getting the feeling like, I mean, most of the people she cares about are human, sure, but especially when it comes to a whole thing of like, but these are my people, they've been locked away for so long, I gotta save them type of thing. I don't know. And since I brought it up, the whole Garrett thing, did not expect that. She runs into Garrett, like, oh, Garrett, you're still alive. I was like, oh, Talon. And within seconds, pulls out a knife and he stabs her in the side. And he looks so unapologetic about it. So it's like, yep, He's full blown under control. There's no like Garrett Spears there anymore. Only the Blade of the Three, and it's like, damn, dude. And I guess he's there by himself, so Gwen's guard is going to be down, but then there's going to be the whole, Tobin situation, maybe even Naya, maybe that's going to help with that whole I don't know what to expect. Sadly, the thing is, we know that Talon's not by herself, so the question is Garrett going to try and finish her off, or is he going to leave her there to bleed out, but then, Zed finds her and helps her, or is Zed going to be there to attack, Garrett? Are they going to knock him out? Like, I don't know what to make of that situation. And then it's going to be the whole thing of like, oh, maybe she can talk to Garrett and be like, what are you talking about? Gwen thought you were dead this entire time. She never sent any letters because she didn't know you were still alive. I was there, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, that I attacked people? It's like, what are you talking about? I've never attacked any village or group of people. You've been lied to by Sana and stuff like that. I don't know. There's also the question of, is Withers dead? Which I would think that would freaking suck. I was like, after everything, that really would suck. Especially because let's not forget Eleanor and Withers. Withers. So that would kind of suck on that department. It'd be kind of interesting because it's like, oh, Gwen lost Garrett and Eleanor lost Withers. I didn't even think about that until now. I'm assuming he's dead, but it could just be a situation of, like I said, they brought him back just so they can either change him like Garrett or just to pump him from information. I don't know. I'm so interested to ultimately see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. Things are definitely picking up. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.